saying goes that marriage is a great institution. And then the other guy says, yeah, but who wants to be in an institution? So many of us are married and want to leave our survivor or surviving spouse a benefit. And if you're in the federal retirement system, whether that's FERS or SERS, you have some options to leave your honey bunches of love. And we want to go through what that means, but there's also some definitions I want you to understand. A survivor benefit does not go to someone who's not your spouse or a disabled child because your adult children are self-sufficient. There is not a survivor benefit for them. They will be receiving things like life insurance from your FEGLI, which is Federal Employee Group Life Insurance, or your TSB, or anything you've set up on the outside of your federal benefits. A survivor benefit goes to a spouse only, or a former spouse, or someone who has insurable interest in you, which is much more rare to use. And also, it could go to a disabled child. So the choices you have for your sweetheart are as follows. If you are civil service, that is CSRS, that is hired before 1984-ish, you have a choice. You can either leave your spouse absolutely nothing or anywhere up to 55% of what your pension is going to be. So a little over half, pretty cool. But you've got some interesting freedoms. You can literally pick the exact dollar amount you want to leave your spouse, and we can reverse math the percentage of that to give them exactly the amount, which is kind of cool. FERS, that is FERS, FERS, hired after 84, y'all are on the left-hand side, and you get 3 choices, and that's all she wrote. You can leave your honey bunches half, or a quarter, or none at all. But you got to remember, if you ain't leave nothing, nobody's getting any health insurance if you pass away. So let's define again survivor. What happened if I have a survivor? I died. And that's the same thing that happens with life insurance. Life insurance pays when? If I died. And so I want you to remember too, we got a little bit of a teeter-totter happening between survivor benefits and FEGLI life insurance, because life insurance pays lump sum, tax-free, and will go to your adult children if both you and your spouse pass away. Survivor benefit is monthly, is taxable, and does not go to anybody that's not your survivor. That is no kids, no neighbors, no dogs, no pets, no niece, no nephew. It is only going to your other half or disabled child. So big teeter-totter there in decision-making processes. And the age of your spouse has a big factor to do with that as well. For example, if my spouse is 79, I'm probably less excited about making sure they have a monthly benefit that's taxable than I am excited about giving a big chunk of, say, 80 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand, right? I'd much rather get the lump sum. Also because odds are they're going to be close behind me, right? Just based on age. Sorry, 79-year-olds. We got to look at stuff in reality and say, okay, well, let's maybe focus on life insurance if we're making this decision at that age. Let's focus more on that because the benefit can survive longer. It's not taxable. It's lump sum. You get it all. In comparison to how many years do I need to live at this monthly benefit to make up for the $100,000 that I could have made if I'd taken the life insurance? You see the teeter-totter? So keep that in the back of your mind as you look at this and say, okay, my choices are if my monthly income, and this is just an example, if my monthly pension before tax tag and title is $2,000 a month, I can leave my spouse half, which is $1,000 a month. But at what cost? It costs you 10% of your pension. So it costs me $200 a month out of my $2,000 to make sure that if I die, my spouse gets $1,000 a month for the rest of their life. Also, I can choose to do half of that. You can leave your spouse a quarter of your pension, which would be $500 a month, but it costs me $100 a month for the rest of my life. Either which of these allow my spouse to keep health insurance if I die. Now, there's this other choice down at the bottom where I've seen a lot of employees talk to their spouse and say, honey, there's this really good option. It doesn't cost us anything. But if I die, you don't get any money. You don't get any health insurance either. Doesn't that sound like a great idea? But some people will think, what a reprobate. Who would do that? Well, they're not all bad people because there's reasons for that sometimes. Maybe Maybe their spouse is independently wealthy, doesn't need the money. Or maybe their spouse is already on Medicare and doesn't need the health insurance and is not worried about that extra $1,000 a month or $500 a month. Or maybe they're Twinkies. Remember what a Twinkie is. That is two the same thing in a little package. I coined that phrase many, many moons ago, saying that if you're married to another postal employee or married to another federal employee, then you have no big reason to spend money out of each of your pensions to leave each other money that you already get to make sure the other person keeps health insurance that they already have and will maintain regardless of a survivor benefit. Because if, let's say we're married and you had the health insurance under your name. So I'm covered on federal employee health insurance, but it's just under your name. If we both retire and do not leave a survivor benefit and I stay on your health insurance and you die, well, all I'm doing is transferring the name of that health insurance from your name to my name, regardless of when it is in the year. Obviously, a death is outside of open enrollment in many cases. So I would easily be able to just continue. That's the key word, continue, not start. I am continuing that health insurance. I'm just changing the enrollment name from yours to mine. And that means I'm just continuing the coverage I had all the time. And I had it for 5 years before I retired, even if it was under your name. You follow? So that's a big question mark for a lot of people that are Twinkies. Now, side note, if you are Twinkies and there's only the two of you, no kids, you really need to look at self-only coverage for each of you because it saves you at least $100 a month on most health insurance plans. So, okay, I'm back from the side note. We have returned to our regular scheduled program. What you need to see, though, is that the survivor benefit compared to life insurance and also what it's going to cost you and what it's going to merit your spouse. So you look at the spouse and you say, honey, if I die, do you need money, health insurance, both, or neither? And if the answer is both, you go with the top option. If the answer is I only need health insurance, money's not the problem, then you go with the middle option, the partial. If the answer is I don't need nothing, then you go down to the bottom and don't leave a survivor benefit. And maybe you redirect some of those funds that you would have spent. Maybe you leave it to have more life insurance. Because again, life insurance, lump sum, no tax. And don't forget, life insurance has long since been the tax shelter of the wealthy to protect funds, to protect from taxes, to protect their family from being slashed by taxes. So here we go. And in summary, in retirement and only at retirement, you're going to have choices. Do I leave my survivor benefit to my spouse, 50%, 25%, or nothing, or civil service, anywhere between 0 and 55%? What do I leave them? Do I leave them anything? What's our situation? What makes the most sense? And how can I get the best benefit for me now by keeping the most money, but also making sure to leave my spouse the best benefit and the best type of benefit? So reach out to me. We can go over this easily. This is a big conversation on all of my meetings, again, because I am going to be there one day to process the claims. I do many, 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 many claims after people have passed away to help the kids process this stuff in the best way for them and make the most sense and make the choices that benefit them the most, whether that's going into an inherited IRA or starting to pay taxes on things. And then in life insurance, that lump sum that they get, big benefit. And for a survivor, for a spouse, to have that monthly benefit, if that's what they needed, can sometimes be a game changer. It is a spirit calming monthly payout that is essentially a love letter you send to them every month, especially if they needed it. Remember, if they don't need it, then we're not talking about anything. But it can be a very, very good thing and many times worth the cost. But we always want to make sure that it is of value to spend the money and to leave the money. Reach out. We can go over all of this and make sure it makes sense for you and yours based on your own situation, because nobody's the same. Look forward to talking with you soon. Reach out. We'll get scheduled.